Quiz time. The answers will follow the questions slide. Label the parts of a check. At the right, you can see that numbers are pointing to the areas that need to be labeled. At the left, these are the letters that you'll be choosing to label the parts. A, routing number. B, first check number. C, memo line. D, second check number. E, personal information. F, dollars line. G, signature line. H, account number. I, pay to order line. J, bank address. K, dollar amount box. L, date line. Remember that you can pause the video if you need more time to fill this out, as I'm sure I'll probably be moving on faster than you can fill it out for. Answers. Number 1 was E. Number 2 was B. Number 3 was L. Number 4 was I. Number 5 was K. Number 6 was F. Number 7 was J. Number 8 was C. Number 9 was G. Number 10 was A. Number 11 was H. Number 12 was D. Questions. Number 1. Can you tell what check number this is? If so, what number is it? How can you tell? Number 2. If Alan Grant and Alicia West have a joint bank account, whose name will appear on the check? A, each will be given their own checks. B, whoever opened the account. C, whoever uses the bank account more. D, both of their names will appear on the check. E, Alan Grant's. Answers. Number 1. Yes, it is check number 145. Even if you can't see the first check number, you can tell by the second check number. Number 2 was D. Number 1. Mrs. Smith is writing a check out for the furniture she has just bought from Old Amish Carpentry. The store owner's name is Robert Beckerman. Who should the check be made out to? A, Mrs. Smith. B, Old Amish Carpentry. C, Robert Beckerman. D, Mrs. Smith should ask who the check is to be made out to. Number 2. For number 1, why did you choose that answer? Number 1 was D. Number 2, the check needs to be made out to the name that is on the business account. In that example, we didn't know whether the business account was in Old Amish Carpentry or Robert Beckerman, which is why Mrs. Smith needed to ask. Mrs. Smith, however, would not be making the check out to herself. Questions. Number 1. How would you write $67.20 in the dollar amount box? Number 2, true or false? The bank address will reflect the bank where you opened your account. Number 3, what ink should you use when writing or endorsing checks? There's actually 2 answers for this. Number 4, a 9-digit number located in the lower right-hand corner of a check that is enclosed by the symbol that has a vertical straight line with a colon after it and reflects the bank where your account was opened at is called the blank. Answers. Number 1 was D. Number 2 was false. Number 3, blue or black ink. Number 4 is routing number. Questions. Number 1, what does this symbol follow? This symbol is a quotation marks with a dot in the upper right corner. Number 2, which number is found twice on a check? Number 3, Mary Jensen is making a check out to Mr. Pennyfeather, who is the owner of Pennyfeather and Cuck's Books, the store which she has bought her books from. The name on the business account for that establishment is Mr. Robert Pennyfeather. Who will endorse Mrs. Jensen's check? Why? A, Mr. Robert Pennyfeather. B, Mary Jensen. C, a stamp that says Pennyfeather and Cuck's Books. Answers. Number 1 was account number. Number 2 was the check number. Number 3, A, Robert Pennyfeathers, whose name is on the business account, not Pennyfeather and Cuck's Books. The person who endorses the check is the recipient of the money, so that is why Mary Jensen would not sign it. Questions. Number 1, what proof of ID is good to bring when depositing checks? Number 2, why is it a good idea to keep track of how many checks you have written and how much you will have in your account after they clear? A, so you don't panic if you void or tear up a check and think one is missing. B, some businesses don't deposit checks right away and you don't want to forget a payment that might overdraft your account. C, to prevent overdrafts and make sure nothing has been stolen. D, all of the above. Answers. Number 1, a state ID or a driver's license is good to bring as proof because it has your photo. Number 2 was D. Using the picture as a guide, make out the check. On March 20th, 1999, Joan E. Hancock purchased a dollhouse from Mr. Rutland. Mr. Rutland owns a store called Miniature Life. The business bank account has Mr. Rutland's name on it, not the name of the business. The total amount for the dollhouse Mrs. Hancock bought was $350. Answers. Using the picture as a guide, make out a check. On December 5th, 1998, Mrs. Hancock has a carpenter named Joe Hammertime Build her some new kitchen cabinets. Joe's business is called It's Hammer Time Carpentry. The name on the business bank account is It's Hammer Time Carpentry. The amount Mrs. Hancock pays for her new cabinets is $906.27. Answers. Questions. Which three places will you write void when voiding a check? Number 2. Joan Hancock needs to write a check out for cash in the amount of $125.80 on March 6, 1998. Using the check at the right as a guide, fill out the information. Answers. Number 1 is paid to the order of line, dollar amount box, and signature line. Number 2 shows out the filled out information. Cash. False. If you write a check out for cash, you don't endorse the back. Would you have to go to the bank to provide a new signature? Answers. Number 1 was false. Number 2, due to injury or illness, your signature is changed. Finished.